Paired stimulus example. Take a moment to look at this slide. This is another example of a preference assessment data sheet. In this example, the teacher identifies 4 likely preferred items and labels them A, B, C, and D. Next, the teacher uses the data sheet to place 2 items next to one another. The teacher circles the item the student chose. Afterwards, the teacher uses the data to count how many times each item was chosen by the student. The item chosen the most is awarded the highest preferred item, and so forth. Let's try it in your classroom. Take a moment to complete this preference assessment with a student and answer the following questions. What did you determine to be the most motivating? What did you determine to be the least motivating? Did this help to expand choices to offer the student? Satiation refers to when a reinforcer loses its effectiveness. This occurs when a reinforcer is given too often or in too large a quantity to the student. This is more likely to occur when students have limited preferences or motivators, which is likely for students with complex needs. For example, if a student with complex needs is receiving a squishy ball as reinforcement, it is likely that after some time, he or she will become tired of it and no longer find it desirable. Some helpful techniques and strategies can be used to decrease satiation. One strategy is to use conditioning procedures to teach the student to appreciate new motivators, as discussed earlier in this presentation. Again, this involves reinforcing students with neutral items followed by a highly preferred item when positive behaviors occur. Additional information and resources on preference assessments can be accessed by logging on to interventioncentral.org. See the link above. Reinforcement. Once motivators and reinforcers are identified, educators want to start looking at how often the reinforcement will be given and in what manner. Learning occurs as a result of the consequences given following a behavior. There are 2 different types of reinforcement, positive and negative. Positive reinforcement occurs when a behavior is followed by a consequence that increases the behavior's rate of occurrence. In other words, if its presentation increases a desired behavior, it's positive reinforcement. Examples include high fives, praises, edibles, etc. Negative reinforcement is the removal of an aversive event that increases the behavior's rate of occurrence. An example would be earning time away from small or whole group when performing a desired skill. We determine if it is positive or negative by its results. Reinforcement is recommended for teaching new skills, maintenance of skills, shaping a behavior, and increasing engagement and motivation. A schedule of reinforcement is a rule stating when or how often a behavior will be reinforced. In some cases, a behavior might be reinforced every single time it occurs, or intermittently. When delivering reinforcement, there are 2 ways a teacher can deliver reinforcement in a scheduled manner. A fixed ratio is delivering reinforcers on a consistent schedule after X amount of behaviors are displayed. For example, a student receives a reward after every 5 responses. A fixed interval recording system is when some sort of reinforcement occurs after a set amount of time. For example, a student is reinforced every 3 minutes. In other words, fixed ratios are based on the number of responses and fixed intervals are based on time. During a variable ratio recording, reinforcement is delivered after an unpredictable number of responses. For example, a student may be rewarded with a reinforcer after every 5 responses or after every 3 at random. Lastly, variable interval recording, a student may be reinforced after a random set of time, so maybe after every 2 minutes and then again after 5 minutes. Factors to consider. How often should the student be offered the reinforcer? Continuous, variable ratio, variable interval. How much time is needed with each reinforcer? Does the student need to be reinforced in between each expected response or intertrial? Can the student stay focused for multiple response opportunities? How much time does a student need in order to produce a response? This is processing time or response interval.